Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we got a little bit of a different show for you guys. I want to talk Tesla. I saw an article come out recently that just sort of had my blood boiling. I was reading it with disdain. Let's talk some Tesla. This is absolutely a big retail stock. In fact, it's a big stock for me. It's in a top 3 position for me. The history of this stock for me is that this was the first stock I had ever purchased back in October of 2015. I turned 18, and that same month I wanted to buy a stock. I bought 5 shares of Tesla at the time. It was right around $1,000. That was my investment portfolio at the time. I didn't end up holding those shares till today. I ended up selling them, playing with a bunch of other stocks, learned a lot of lessons, and ended up getting back into the stock in about early 2019. So Cathie Wood was a big part of the bull case even back then. She just came out with another prediction. This is her prediction for 2029. I'm sure most Tesla investors I've seen this, and this is her anticipation for the stock 5 years from now. $2,600 per share. It's going to get your head shaking. So bear case, $2,000, obviously, right? Bull case, $3,100. So anywhere between an 11x to a 17.5x on this company. Sure. Okay. Absolutely obtainable. I believe in it. Let's do it. That's perfectly fine. The reason for my video here is not the $7 trillion company, not the $10.9 trillion company that she believes 5 years from now. It's the reason why she thinks it's going to be the largest company in the world that just grinds my gears, ladies and gentlemen. So let me show you guys this chart really quick. I mean, we can go off her expected value. She believes that there's going to be a compounded annual growth rate of their cars sold of about 45%. Okay. Tesla has roughly sold about 5 million vehicles total, but going out to 2029, they believe that they're going to start, producing and delivering 5.8 million cars to 14.4 million. I'll give it a total pass. Sure. Let's do it. Then it's this number that I cannot come to grips with at all. Autonomous ride-hailing revenue, net. Okay, so this isn't like bookings. This isn't like, if you look at Uber, how much money people are actually pushing through the platform in order to get in their cars and go across the world versus what Uber actually ends up receiving in terms of fees or stuff like this, 2 different pricing. She's anticipating $603 billion in the year of 2029, or on the upside, $951 million, billion dollars, almost $1 trillion in autonomous ride-hailing revenue, something that they've made $0 in so far. Now, before everyone gets so mad at me, I want to be on the same page with you. The whole thought process is that every single car that Tesla currently has on the road has the hardware to become a fully self-driving vehicle, but just we haven't quite made it there on the training side. So as these things get better, they'll be able to roll out this feature eventually, and it'll instantly turn the revenue lights on. And I absolutely believe that. I'm 100% on board. I think that that will be a changing day for Tesla's valuation. It's just at what level, what degree is this going to be the case? And by the way, let's just go through. I want to show you some more things that she's pricing into this. So what is not a part of this price target? Well, Optimus, they're autonomous robots, which is going to be a big case for a lot of the Super Bowls. And absolutely, I'm a part of that. I love this idea, but this is going to have minimal impact on our price targets because 2029 is just a little early. Stationary energy storage, although being a very large part of their business, or could be a very large part of their business, by 2029, it's going to have a minimal impact on the overall company. Let's say what's not even included in this model. So no Tesla Semi, no supercharging network, FSD licensing, AI as a service, they're cutting it all out. So this price is based on essentially the ride-hailing service. So a 60% chance that it happens in 2025. Now we're down to a 4-year time span to get to $600 to $950 billion. Or there's a 40% chance, which is still a super high freaking chance of something happening when they might actually start commercializing, which would still only be 3 years then to actually start making money on this platform. That's just so we're on the same page. And in fact, it's some people not really that crazy, in fact. Let's go ahead and bring up Elon Musk here.
Something else. I mentioned this before, but for ARK Invest, I'd recommend reading the ARK Invest analysis. That's the most accurate. There may be more accurate ones, but the most accurate sort of analysis of the potential of autonomy. The most accurate that I'm aware of is Cathie Wood's ARK Invest. So And if I recall correctly, they predicted somewhere over a $5 trillion valuation for Tesla, just based on vehicle autonomy, not counting Optimus. Yeah.
So he goes on to say a $5 to $7 trillion market. Well, no, actually, she was saying 7 to 10 or 7 to 11, essentially. So much more optimistic regardless. But hey, that's perfectly fine. Okay. I'm going to give a lot of leeway here because it's such an egregious statement that I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at every single step that we take here. You know what? Elon Musk said the greatest research on this is Cathie Wood. You know what he didn't say is that he agrees with the timeline. He agrees with the price of the market cap, but not once in that video did he say that that's going to happen by 2029. Let's go ahead and look at the entirety of the globe's transportation spending for every industry. As of last year, Uber and Lyft did about $90 billion in total bookings. Add an additional $20 billion for all of their other smaller competitors like Bolt or InDrive or whatever. All of those other ones, much, much smaller. Why don't we just go ahead and add up the entirety of the private sector for transportation, including local taxi networks globally? Well, according to Grandview Research, it's a $260 billion a year industry. $260 billion. Once you add in global public transportation markets, you're talking about an additional $215 billion industry. Let's add that up just in case we're not on the same page. You're looking at a $475 billion total addressable market. We can round it up to $500 billion. So let's talk about total addressable market expanding disruptors. There are lots of disruptors that can come into an industry that will potentially address a customer in a different way, whether that's to offer a product that is used more often or by a wider audience. I brought up the example here that I want to talk about, which is Celsius Energy. The idea is that versus Monster or Red Bull that have been extremely male-dominated energy drinks that are used for late nights, or they like to promote it as being like almost like a sports drink or a, extreme drink. Celsius has really targeted a more balanced base of both male and female audience, and also targeting to more health conscious individuals. So also allowing them to be drank earlier in the day, essentially. Some people are using it as a coffee replacement. It is like one of the greatest examples of a total addressable market expander. You don't just look at that company and then look at Monster and say, that's how big this company can get because those are the energy drink drinkers, right? The only difference is in the sort of detail that we're missing between Celsius and Tesla here in terms of being a total addressable market expander is the idea of why they're buying them, right? Celsius is not competing on price. The cost in a grocery store is roughly the exact same between a Red Bull or a Celsius. The real benefiting factor is based on a health conscious choice, taste, whatever. Tesla is competing on price. They want to compete on price on the idea that, hey, there is no person in the front seat, so you can go ahead and get driven from point A to point B, and we're going to bring down the cost so much because we're taking out the most expensive part of the drive, which is the hourly wage driver. Love it, completely believe in it. It's just a matter of what that does to the total addressable market. So if you're going to cut the price by half, let's say you replace every single drive, that's actually going to take the total addressable market and cut it in half. I know what you're going to say. But Tanner, people are going to use it 4 times as often. Yes, I believe that as well. Okay. But then we're still nowhere near Cathie Wood's idea of how much they're going to make in 2029. Like, we're talking about like between when she thinks it's going to go into commercialization, they're going to start making money. We're talking about 4 or 3 years. And once again, once we're talking about numbers, we're talking about the entirety of the global transportation industry, how much they're making. That means there's no other players. Although I believe that Tesla will be a large competitor and can also be the largest, market share taker, are they going to be anywhere near where Cathie Wood is putting out investment research, is holding billions and billions of dollars for people and saying, this is what's going to happen? Good luck. Again, if you want to value this company based on $7 trillion, $10 trillion, look at the total amount of money that this company is supposed to be bringing in by this time. So you look at their bear case, $250 billion in car sales and $603 billion in robotaxi. You're looking at an $853 billion of net revenue coming in, and they also put in a free cash flow yield of 4.3%. So you're looking at $36.7 billion. Or on the bull side, I'll save you some of the time, nearly 400 billion car sales, nearly $1 trillion in robotaxi, $1.345 trillion in total revenue, free cash flow yield 4.1%, $55 billion in free cash flow. Just for context, Apple does $85 billion in free cash flow. Microsoft doing over $60 billion in free cash flow. Not at a $7 trillion, not at an $11 trillion market cap today. So just hard for me to wrap my brain around. Let's also talk about their role in this sort of space. Do I believe that there will be the first company through the door with fully self-driving vehicles? Yes. I think they're going to have a very great first mover's advantage here. However, just like Optimus or just like OpenAI being a great first mover in creating a new industry, they're not going to be the last. Already, there are companies trying to create behind them competitors. Whether they are as strong, they are going to take some level of market share. But also, NVIDIA Drive is also trying to power a lot of the self-driving competitors. So will they be second behind Tesla? Sure. Will they get a pretty good chance at taking market share? Absolutely. Add that in amongst the $600 to $950 billion of revenue. Try to fit it in somewhere. I just wanted to show off. This is another great chart as well, looking at OpenAI being, one of the first developers of an LLM, but they're definitely not the last. And in a very, very short period of time, you had some very strong competitors. Like I said, they're not starting from zero, although they have $0 in revenue for ride hailing this year. All the cars will eventually get turned on, and they can be used as sort of that Uber / Airbnb example, as Elon Musk sort of gave it. You go out there and make some money. There's also going to be that case, which I don't think is priced in here, of what percentage of those car owners are going to want to enable this service. Whenever a market is not fully figured out, we're seeing first movers come into this place that you get to put whatever number you want on that industry. Whenever the total addressable market isn't figured out, trying to price what that market will be drastically inaccurate. Look at the internet bubble as the greatest example of that. Exaggerated hopes because the technology existed. The possibility for growth was undeniable. Whether people actually adopted it at that speed and time was not correct at all. If you were to put a 5 to 3 year timeline on that, you would have sounded unbelievably unrealistic. I'm not trying to say that Tesla in any way is going to be one of the companies that fails. I definitely think they are going to be the strongest realist play in autonomous driving. So I believe that it'll be adopted, but it's going to take time. It is going to take time. Let's just take it a step further. Let's go a step further and talk about how sort of unrealistic this is in this time frame. So she said that Tesla has manufactured and delivered about 1.8 million vehicles in 2023 for the full year. Then she said there will be about a 45% compounded annual growth rate now in 2029. I have the chart here: 2.2 million, 3 million, 4.3 million, 6.5 million, 9.5 million, 14 million. Okay, we're done. You're looking at the end about 44.5 million total vehicles on the road produced by Tesla that have the ability to do robotaxi, including the 5 million currently outstanding. Let's do the math together. Everyone get out their calculators. You got 44.5 million cars. Let's say every single one is enabled for autotaxi, which is outrageous to think that, let alone how many are, trash compacted. Anyway, you got all 44.5 million vehicles on the road. Great. Now you need to produce $600 billion in net fees. That means that per robotaxi, Tesla is going to bring in $13.5 thousand a year per vehicle, or on their bullish side, $21.4 thousand in fees, not in bookings, in fees, also excluding the owner's cut, because they said, they're going to be pricing in this as sort of a platform where you can also make revenue. But look at Uber, for example. How much do they make per user per car? Well, it's roughly $5,900 per Uber driver annually. So you're saying they're going to 2, 3, 4x that number by 2029 per vehicle? And let alone, I've also included them bringing in the 14 million new vehicles in 2029. If that isn't there, then the number is going to also skyrocket. I don't know. I want to reiterate, Okay. I am a Super Bowl of Tesla. Have been for a very long time. I will continue to be for hopefully decades. As long as Elon's there, I'm there. He's an absolute genius. I'm super optimistic on Robotaxi, on Optimus, FSD as a service, energy storage, superchargers, the whole 9 yards. So guys, it's just on the idea that I disagree with the amount of money that Robotaxi is going to bring in. That's all. I think that it's such bananas. Yeah. Anyway, until next time, guys, really do appreciate your time. If you like this sort of content, make sure you subscribe. But bye for now.